What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of Footballrs. My name's Tony and you can follow me down below at LINEMAN Football. Today's video, we're gonna be doing a review on the Under Armour Hammer MC LINEMAN cleats for 2022. Now before we kick off with the review, the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and unbox these. Let's get into that first. Okay, so here are the new Under Armour Hammer MC cleats for 2022. I have them in a size 12. I do remember last year's model, which I actually have right here for comparison in a little bit. I got these in a 12.5 and I found they were a little bit big for me, so I'm gonna try the 12 in these and see how they work here. Okay, so here we have the standard Under Armour box. Nothing's different about that. They always do the classic black box. Those are kind of interesting. Okay, so looking at these cleats, they're a completely redesigned cleat from last year. Everything about these is different. I can see from the upper materials. Let's see, the midsole is the same, the traction plate is the same, but other than that, past that, everything from up here does look pretty brand new. Starting at the back of the cleat, looks like we have some kind of two-piece system here. We also do have that hazardous logo that Under Armour's been putting on the back of all their cleats. Now this heel cup is actually separate from the liner on the inside here. So looking at that, it looks like these can actually be pulled decently far apart. We do have a nice thick upper on the inside here. That looks pretty good. Wraps around a little higher on this side of the cleat there, so you can see it kind of goes a little higher. We do have a nice thick pull tab, and that's gonna be that same kind of suede material. Now, the obvious thing that you're gonna see on these cleats, which is like I've never seen before, is gonna be what they call the Under Armour Pellet Protect. So the point of this is to keep pellets out of your shoes. And I think the reason behind this is because, you know, when there's big guys in the middle and they have a lot of, feet moving, and when you're on turf, a lot of pellets can get inside your shoes. And I think that by their thought process, they think that all these pellets are actually gonna be coming through your laces. I thought most of the pellets were actually coming through the heel, so that's a little different. The other purpose of this might be to help protect your laces from like getting sheared from other people's cleats and stepping on your feet. However, in my experience, I feel like most of the issue with stepping on feet is up here. Now guys, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the unboxing, but I just want to let you know that you actually could have watched this video over a month ago. See, the thing is, with our YouTube videos, we only release one every single week, but sometimes we'll edit 2 or 3 in a week and then we schedule them out in advance. And if you're one of our YouTube members, you get all those videos as soon as they come out. That means sometimes in 1 week, you actually get 4 or 5 videos. Now, if you look on our homepage right now, you'll see all the videos that members are already getting access to, and more of them are coming out every single day. When you are a YouTube member, you'll get exclusive badges and emojis that you can use in the comment section. You get access to all of our videos early, but we're also working on extended discounts for our merch and bigger discounts on shock visors. So if you want to become a YouTube member, it'll be one of the first links in the description down below. All right, back to the video. But yeah, we'll look at that in a second. So let's look at this Pellet Protect first. So this just kind of Velcros on each side of the cleat like that. Well, that's pretty, all right, it's good Velcro. So as a material, this looks like a piece of like a rubber or a silicone, and then it has like a web lining to it to kind of give it a little bit of structure. It is super lightweight. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot here. This isn't gonna protect you at all, I don't really think, from anything, but it will protect your laces. It's not gonna, right, you will still feel a cleat on it. It does have a couple breathability holes as well. Now, as far as the material goes, if this is the material I think it is, that does worry me a bit, to be honest. So I used to have a pair of Under Armour cleats that had this kind of suede-esque material as the upper, and the first day they got stepped on, they actually ripped in half at the toe box. This also has some of the same design as like the new Under Armour highlights, how it has the Under Armour logo kind of all over it on there. So this is Under Armour, Under Armour, Under Armour, and then it has like this rubberized silicone-ish type grip material. So at least that's better, that this will actually help protect that toe box a little bit more than the old stuff did, where it used to just be this material. We do have an Under Armour logo on the side there. All right, that's kind of cool. Now looking at the bottom of the cleat, it's a dead same as last year. We do have a midsole on the cleat as well here, although I am excited to cut these open to see if that's actually a real midsole or if it's just kind of on the outside. As far as the traction plate goes, it wasn't my favorite last year, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 big studs on the front. We have 3 little spikes in the middle, 3 little spikes in the middle there. And then on the back, you have another 4 big studs. The traction plate does look kind of cool, but it's pretty old school. Super, super stiff, right? There's not a lot of movement in this thing. So we do have the classic Under Armour insole on here. These are always super comfortable, super cushy. So I really like to see this. This is always really nice on your foot. Okay, now looking at these side by side, Toe box looks a little different. If you know, maybe it's just the sizing, but this one does look a little bit narrower than this year's, but that just might be because one's a 12.5 and one is a 12. So that's a little different. Obviously the materials are completely different between the 2 years. You can see this one was like this super breathable material on here that kind of went down the entire side, where this is again going to be that old style material here that they added. Again, same traction plate, same midsole, a little bit different design between year to year. I prefer actually this design, to be honest, whereas I think this one is a little bit weird looking. Identical traction plate, did not change anything with that year over year. This one again has another bigger logo there, where this one just has this smaller one on the side there. So just a little bit different material on there. Actually, it's a complete redesign on the material of these cleats, but again, same traction plate. Most of the way this cleat is in the traction plate and the midsole. It's super heavy, big, bulky piece of plastic. So they can change the upper all they want. If it has the same traction plate and midsole, they're going to be around the same weight. So the lacing structure on here, you can see it just looks a little bit tighter, a little more tightly woven on this one. Last year's was a little bit more open. So this might give a better lockdown fit on your foot. Basically just took the exact same laces though and wrapped them in a little tighter. And these ones go on the outside of the cleat, where last year's went on the inside of the eyelet. So a little bit different lacing style. Maybe this one's gonna hug your foot a little bit better. Feeling it side by side though, they actually feel pretty close. This one does feel slightly thicker though. Okay, overall, I'm honestly not super pumped on these, but let's get in the review. Okay, now that we've done the unboxing, the next thing we're gonna do is cut these cleats in half, then we'll jump right into the review. Okay, now that all that's out of the way, let's jump right into the review of this cleat. Let's just jump right into it with the fit and comfort of this cleat. Now, when you look at the photos of this cleat, it looks like a pretty stiff, sleek style cleat, and that's kind of exactly how it feels. One of the biggest changes they made from last year's cleat to this year's cleat is gonna be the toe box. Last year's had this like perforated type material that was super flexible and decent for breathability, whereas this year's is more of a traditional style football upper. It's kind of like a short-haired suede material. That's how I'd kind of describe it. Now, this material doesn't really feel great against your foot. It might take a lot longer to mold than maybe I had the time to test, but overall, when I was feeling this material, it felt very thin and stiff all the way around my foot. Now you can see what happens when I flex my toes. It kind of buckles in this really weird way, and then it kind of hurts the top of your foot as well. So really not the best. Also, because they got rid of all breathability on this upper, it really sucks in and holds all the moisture in with your foot. So there's not a lot of breathability with this cleat. Now, regarding the padding, for whatever reason, they took a bunch of the padding out of the heel of this cleat around the side of your ankle, and they really thinned out the tongue. Again, I'm not 100% sure why. It didn't save a ton of weight. Now, it does have the exact same midsole and traction plate as last year. Now, it is nice to see that this cleat has a midsole that runs throughout it. However, they did add this plastic shank over top, which kind of mitigates whatever you're getting from the cushioning of the midsole. Overall, comparing it side by side between last year's and this year's, I find this one slightly more stiff and less comfortable than last year's. All right, let's talk about support. Now, continuing on the same path, they did strip more stuff off the top. Now, comparing last year's and this year's side by side, you can see they drastically cut down the height of the ankle and took away a little bit of that high ankle support. There is still a lot of support, as it is a really high cleat to begin with. Last year's was just like a super high, but it does have a little bit less than last year's nonetheless. The other nice thing that they did change about this is the lacing system. Whereas last year's laces were a little bit more open, a little harder to get a nice tight fit, they added more loops onto this one, meaning you can get a lot tighter fit around the top of your foot. However, that just pushes this material up more against the side of your foot and kind of makes it a little less comfortable. So if you do lace these up really tight, I definitely think they're gonna take some time to break in. Next, let's look at the traction plate. So this is the exact same traction plate as last year. You have 10 diamond shaped studs around the top, 4 big diamonds at the back, and then 3 of these little spikes in the middle. Now this entire traction plate is a one-piece plastic. One of the things I do like about this traction plate is going to be the length of the studs. I think they're a good length where they're not too long to be like really hard to use in turf, but they're also not too short where they're not unusable in grass. One thing though I would like to see removed is the plastic shank that runs along the inside of the cleat. I think it makes the traction plate really stiff, adds another level of discomfort, and then also adds more weight. When this traction plate is already a one-piece plastic, I really don't see the need for both, but Under Armour can tell me why I'm wrong. All right, next thing we're gonna talk about is weight. Now again, I don't know if they stripped out a bunch of the stuff to save on the weight because last year's were the heaviest cleat released of the year. I think they're around 18 ounces. But everything that they did to reduce the weight on this year's model wasn't the areas where it was being super heavy. The 3 heaviest parts of this cleat are gonna be the plastic traction plate, the midsole, and the plastic shank that runs along the inside. Because those 3 are identical, these ones are almost identical in weight. So until you change any of these 3, it's still gonna be the heaviest cleat in football. All right, now let's look at protection. So last year's had no protection, right? It had a perforated material on the toe box here. Nothing about that screams protection. However, like I said, they just replaced that with a different thin style upper. So as far as protection goes, I think you are gonna feel when someone steps on your foot. Now they did add a silicone overlay to help stop this material from ripping, which has happened to me with these cleats in the past. So that is a nice addition. They also did add the pellet protect on here, which is to help protect your laces from getting ripped. However, it's also like a really thin silicone type material. So all the stuff they added here is gonna help the overall durability of the cleat, but I don't think it's gonna help protect you against anyone stepping on your foot. All right, next thing we're gonna talk about is style. Now, when I first saw these cleats, I wanted to shit on them. And that's mainly because I thought they looked kind of weird and I was like, man, why can't we get anything cool at LINEMAN? But then I took a step back and said, you know what, at least they're trying to do something different. I might not like the overall style that they went with, but at least they tried to incorporate some style to match the other cleats in their line. It has the same silicone overlay that the highlights have, so it is nice to see that they're trying to incorporate different things across the line. A lot of times with LINEMAN cleats, it feels like this siloed product that they're just forced to make and feels like they don't really put a lot of innovation or design thought into it. So at least Under Armour did try to do something new, and this pellet protect is something I've never seen before, so props for that. I also do kind of like the mix of different materials on here. I like the suede on the back. This material on the front doesn't feel bad. One thing though I wish they would do is they need to stop using the neon green. The neon green does not work in everything. I don't know why they always like to add this neon green, whatever reason that signifies Under Armour to them. I just don't like it. Black should be black or black and gray or something a little less loud. Other nice thing with this cleat is it doesn't just come in black. You can pick these up in black, white, blue, and red, which is really nice to see. Now talking about the price of these cleats right now on eBay, we have them linked down below, are gonna be 110 bucks. And I think for these cleats, that's actually priced right. You see, it's competing against other LINEMAN cleats like the Nike Force Savage line, and those are around $140 and up. I don't think it has the same technologies or benefits that those cleats have, so I understand why they did price these lower. For 110 bucks, these are actually a pretty good deal. All right, last thing we're gonna cover here is going to be positions. Now, because of the weight of this cleat, I only recommend this for interior linemen. I think if you're a D tackle and you're fighting against a speedy D end, or on the other side you are that speedy D end, I think this cleat is just too heavy and bulky for you to win those matchups. But if you're an interior lineman that isn't super worried about weight but wants loads of support, guard, center, D tackle, or nose tackle, I think these would actually be a pretty good option. You should not wear this cleat at linebacker, running back, tackle, or D end. So there you guys go. There is a review of this cleat. Now, on one hand, I want to be mad and say, you know what, this is not the best thing that Under Armour has ever put out. Having said that, Nike didn't come out with a new cleat this year. Adidas has not come out with a new LINEMAN cleat this year. So I'm going to applaud Under Armour for at least giving us something affordable you can pick up for this season. All right, guys, thanks for watching.